Get out the way. Who got a watch? Who got the time? I'm raising the clock. Even in my feelings, grind don't stop. Got big dreams, want big rocks. I got plans, you got talk. Heard it's real cheap, but it's really gon' cost. I'm tryna get these ends, building empires with my friends. I'm about handling my business. No time for stress over bullshit. You think success is an option? I'm tryna get this shit poppin' like woo. Big moves, my rules. Y'all heavy on the tweeting. I'll disappear a whole season like woo. Who said they looking for me? I'ma make you.
Good morning, DeMarie TV family. So today we're going to be reviewing season 6, episode 22, Not About to KeKe and HaHa, scene 2. So this scene takes place at the HSV gym, and Martell, Chris Fletcher, and Courtney, Stormy's husband, are all meeting at the gym just for a workout and a chit chat. Now this is primarily Martell's scene, and if you see the show, Martell's scenes are very sporadic, very low level. This is like he's usually at a gym, or he's, sitting there doing some type of confessional. His scenes are very staged, and his scenes are very staged because really Martell does not have a lot going on. Okay. And so he's invited Chris Fletcher and Courtney to the gym 100% just so he can get a scene. Martell has been known to be someone, when this show first started, Martell was like someone that everyone was like, oh, he's so attractive, he's handsome, he has a great physique, a great body. And I think there are a lot of people who still, look to him for that, and that gives him a lot of validation. In my mind, no matter what his exterior looks like, this man is an ugly person to me. And so I don't see him in that way. When I look at him, I don't see attraction. I don't see anything that is handsome or anything that should be revered. I see him as someone who maintains his physique and wears suits a lot because it is a way to help people disarm. The better he looks, the easier it is for him to manipulate people. And that's just the reality of the situation. That's why a lot of narcissists always focus on their exterior looking extremely good, because with a great looking exterior, you don't have to work so hard to break people's boundaries down and bring down their walls. They'll bring their walls down immediately and start trusting and liking and opening up to you because you have a great looking exterior, a good physical appearance, a nice suit. So Martell is someone I look at completely different. When I look at him, I'm always trying to think of and figure out what is his end game here. What is he trying to do? What's the purpose of this? And so that's how I see him. I don't see him as this attractive specimen that a lot of people see him as. I just don't. So Courtney Beasley comes in, and he's supposed to be trying to work out so that he can lose some weight. He wants to get down to 245. And then Chris Fletcher comes in as well. Martell makes his comment about Chris being a pretty boy. A lot of times when Chris comes on scene, Martell comments about his appearance. Martell is threatened by the appearance of Chris Fletcher because Chris Fletcher is a nice looking man in a suit. That challenges Martell, and Martell has an issue with it, and it shows up because he'll call him pretty boy. He'll comment on the clothing that he's wearing, like when they went to film at the home location that he was with his partner, and Chris comes up and he speaks about him wearing tight jeans, and he always has a little dig for Chris every time Chris comes around, and that's because he's intimidated about the way Chris looks. Now they introduce Courtney and Chris Fletcher to Coach Thomas, and he is, I believe, a personal trainer, which is ironic to me. I think Martell has spent so much time in the gym. You would think that would have been a natural go-to for him. He tried wine. He don't drink. He did cookbooks. He doesn't cook. But I didn't see him try to attempt to be a physical trainer, which would have been very easy for him, a very natural place for him to flow into. And it also would have gave him access to a lot of women. I'm surprised he never thought of that. Just saying. You in the gym all the time. You clearly know how to work out because you work out all the time. So why not go into physical training so that you can make additional money and help support yourself? And that would have introduced you to a whole lot of new people, which would have made your scenes more interesting. You know, it's something that I'm surprised he never thought about. But anyway, they move forward and they start working out. And of course, after the workout, they pause to have a conversation. So then they're telling Courtney about the barbecue at Maurice's house, and they tell Courtney that KeKe stoked Tisha and that Marcel and Amin were about to get into it. I don't think that's a great depiction of what happened. I think Marcel was running from Amin, and Amin was about to handle Marcel. I don't think there was a we about to get into it moment. I think that was the moment where Marcel truly revealed himself as the punk he is. Like, that's what that was. And in this moment, Courtney says, hey, you better tell Marcel to relax. I don't know what's taking Courtney so long. In my opinion, Courtney should have got into Marcel's tail. But you know, I guess Courtney's on Courtney's timing. So Courtney begins to talk about the fact that he don't like the fact that Marcel has words for his wife. And of course, Martell talks about, oh, how, you know, Stormy shouldn't be talking about men in a certain way and things like that. And so you got to make sure you tell Stormy she can't talk to men in a certain kind of way. Listen, to each his own. Martell wants a certain level of respect simply because he is a male. He doesn't care about the behavior of the male that warrants and that drags out the disrespectful communication. He just says, you know what, if you're a woman, don't talk to a man this way. And that's, you know, Bible for him. That's what he wants. That's what he wants everyone to comply with and agree to. But the world does not function that way. You know, it does not. It is a mutual respect. And when you cross the line, be prepared for somebody to come back at you because you disrespected them. And that's just the way it is. Everyone does not subscribe to Martell's ideas, and he just doesn't understand that. Now, he also had a problem with, you know, Marcel calling Courtney Stormy's last name. And that is a huge disrespect because that's not his name. And you know what you're trying to do is saying he's less than because you're giving him his wife's last name. Clearly, Stormy and Courtney are more confident and more solid in their selves than to have to depend on each other's name. That's not something that's important to them, but to try to take that and weaponize it is something Marcel is doing because in Marcel's mind, it's a level of disrespect for the woman not to take the man's last name. And that's, a lot of people think like that. Martell thinks like that. A lot of people think like that. But that's not how Stormy and Courtney are set up. Courtney's not, you know, offended by that. He's not stuck in that space where she has to have his last name. So I don't know why it continues to be an issue with other people. So then they move into talking about Marcel and Courtney having another conversation. Again, I was not impressed with the way that Courtney handled Marcel the first time when he went to Black to sit with Marcel, and then he ends up tipping, you know, the bartender $100, but never really checking Marcel on anything. They can have another conversation. Courtney says it cannot be at Black. It has to be neutral ground this time, which is an indication to everyone that he's about to step up his kind of interaction with Marcel. It's going to be a little bit tougher. And because it might be that, he don't want it on Marcel's ground. He wants it on neutral ground. That's what he talking. I don't know if any of that is true or not. We'll have to wait and see. So apparently when this scene happens, Martell's still squatting at the house because him and Chris Fletcher start talking about him moving again. And then they make this joke about, is the place where he's moving to going to be Huntsville or Atlanta, which is so weird to me because at this point everybody knows that Sheree and Martell are not together and that the whole relationship wasn't what they tried to make it out to be. So this is the part that really irritates a lot of viewers about this show. This show moves very quickly on the internet, okay? But when you watch the show, it seems like it's worlds and ages behind sometimes. Like for them to still be addressing Sheree and her chateau It's laughable. Everybody at this point knows they're not together, and it was a relationship that was set up. It was fake. Now, do I believe that they were smashing? I do. I believe Sheree slept with Martell, and I believe Martell, would have probably tried to get what he could out of her if Sheree had allowed it to go that way. But I just think it fizzled out because it was never really real. And Melody didn't bite. She didn't react to it, so it just didn't, have the punch he hoped it would have. So it would have been nice, in my opinion, if this scene had ended right here. But of course, he has to make the comment that Chris tried to put him in Melody's house and Sheree's house. Chris can't put you in Melody's house. He always uses Melody as a baseline. The mere mention of her name in his mind validates him, and it takes him to a space that he's comfortable. Melody ain't thinking about you. You're not even allowed in her house, so how could Chris try to put you in there? You can't get past the threshold of her front door. You can't. And even if you pulled up to the driveway unannounced, she would call security or the police on you. Y'all don't have that type of relationship. So I don't like they do. So Chris and Courtney start talking about the fact that they both have family from Triana, and they're trying to take a DNA to see if they're related or they're cousins. I thought that was light. I thought it was cute. I would like to know the results of the DNA test. It's just, an added kind of thing to the show. I thought that was really a great way to just have another conversation amongst them, and that would be a cute scene for us to see the results of that. And that's pretty much the way that it ended. I enjoyed the way that it ended because it was not heavily focused on Melody and Martell, which it should not be. His scene should not be focused on Melody. She should not even come up in his scenes. They have been divorced for years. They do not have a cordial relationship as witnessed in this episode. She did not even speak to him. She does not acknowledge him. She has to move a certain way with Martell because he is a narcissist, and you have to have very strict boundaries with these people. And she set those, and she's sticking to them. So, unbeknownst to me, OWN drops an additional clip. And the additional clip, unfortunately, is exactly what none of us want to see. It's just Martell talking about Melody again. This man cannot do a scene without spending time discussing Melody. And it's just beyond me. It does not make any sense. Why he needs to keep going back to a 3-4 year old marriage is beyond me, but she's not thinking about him in this way. I suspect that's why, production cut it from the scene, because they know that everybody's tired of just hearing him just bring up Melody for no reason. She's not a part of his life. They parent children together, and they have children. But I have always told people, just because you have kids together does not mean that person will be in your life forever. People like to say that a lot, but that is not true. You can absolutely have children with somebody and block them out your life. You have to allow your kids to go to their house. They have to come, and the kids have to be at your house. You will have to hear certain things about them from the kids, and you may have to deal with them about the kids, possibly through the courts, but you do not have to let that person in your space and in your life if you don't want to. You can 100% block them out if you want to. I've watched it be done. It is possible. So this whole idea that you cannot have children with somebody without them being a part of your life for 18 years is not true. You can primarily block these people out a lot if you want to, and if it's necessary. And for some women, when dealing with dangerous men who are narcissists, that is exactly what you have to do. You have to put boundaries up, and you got to stick to them. But here's a little clip about what Martell had to say regarding Melody. Here you go.
All right. It's your house. Melody ass.
Lord have mercy.
I'm tired of hearing you saying that.
Teen just get up and just say, you know what, Martell? And throw the glasses.
Why did you don't touch nobody if nobody touch you.
Right, but why she throw the glasses?
Through the glass, though. Because she could control herself.
Because?
Because she couldn't control herself. I didn't do anything.
What'd you say?
Oh, words? You throw the glass because of words? Yeah, no. It doesn't even
can't
equal.
say words, though.
Control yourself. That'll get you in jail.
What's some pretty harsh words you said to her, though?
She said stuff to me, too. Look at you. You forget she said stuff to me, too?
What Melody say to Martell? Oh,
5 years ago.
See, it should be over with by now. Nigga.
Over with.
Yeah. He ain't never wrong.
I know. I've took accountability for the things I've done wrong. And it hasn't been a lot of stuff, to be real about it.
But it's been enough.
Yeah, and that was years ago, too, though.
Okay.
Whenever she do something wrong, you put me in it. Who
was it about?
She threw something.
But who was it about?
It don't matter. You gotta have control.
You gotta be in it.
You gotta control yourself.
See what I'm saying? He think
watch it.
Me and the wife are neutral because we met them together.
Yeah. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. You understand what I'm saying?
That's true.
Yeah.
But I gotta be still friends with you. Yeah. That don't mean I can't be friends with her.
With Fletcher saying he's my friend, Mel's friend, I'm gonna continue to give Fletcher a hard time if he knows what's going on between Melody and I. If he know everything to be facts in terms of how she's really coming at me, I don't think it's like a middle that he can play when it comes to her and our relationship.
At the barbecue, he showed up, she showed up, he spoke, and she didn't. She wouldn't have me. I don't know why.
So Melody's just still living in the past and just mad from stuff like 4 and 5 years ago.
I don't think she's mad about. Nah, around people, she act like that. But see, my son's game. Hey, Martell, come sit beside me on the phone. Hey, Martell, but as soon as we come around people,
change.
Okay, I get it. All right. I don't get it though. We went to counseling. We were best friends, dog. And that hurt me too. I'm like, damn, look at us acting like we used to act. And we leave here, next thing you know, you're mad at me.
Well, do you think you should reach out to her to find out what the issue is?
I mean, we talk all the time.
And you never ask?
What's
Yeah, why when people come around, you treat me like you don't even know me?
Yeah, because to be real, I feel that if I mention it to her, she might switch it all the way back up to not even being cordial on the phone or even at games and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
It's sometimes like, beating the wall, beating the brick. You try to instill this information within him, hoping that he gets it and makes better decisions when it comes to Melody. But I'm not real sure if Martell gets it.
For me, Martell Holt is nothing short of a teachable moment. I think there's a reason that we all get so frustrated, but we continue to watch because we're learning something from this show. We're learning information that is necessary and needed for a lot of women to know. Martell Holt is a public figure, but be 100% sure Martell Holt is one of millions of narcissistic men that walk this face of this earth. Like, he is not the only one. And so I think by learning from his behavior, identifying certain traits that he exhibits, it'll help a bunch of us. It'll help a lot of us notice it, call it out, and identify what we're looking at when we see them, and then we can avoid letting these people into our life and into our space. I mean, by defending his actions and attacking Chris Fletcher, all the while trying to flip the role of victim and offender. He's now trying to take on the role of victim and make Melody the offender. By doing these things, he's essentially redirecting attention away from his own actions, and he's causing doubt in Melody's claims and her assertions of who he is. This is all like fuckery. Basically, this is what Martell does. I want everyone to choose between me and Melody. Melody's doing this to me. Melody, I'm the victim. That is what this man's whole mission is. To make her out to be the offender when everybody knows this story. Why anybody would have any type of sympathy for Martell right now baffles me. Everyone knows what this man did, and he sits here in front of Chris Fletcher and says, I didn't do nothing wrong. What? You know what I'm saying? He committed the ultimate sin, and in his mind, He didn't do anything wrong. At this level, and because of the situation, you can almost laugh at this. But when you take this 1 or 2 steps further, it becomes frightening, right? It becomes frightening because there's no limit to this narcissistic behavior. He will always feel he did nothing wrong. He will always feel justified in his behavior. He will always blame the victim. He will always play the victim. He will always gaslight. He will always minimize situations into his favor. He will always deflect. He is in denial consistently. He is delusional, and he has toxic amnesia. He is all things narcissist, and he refuses under all circumstances to accept any accountability. So for Martell to sit up and say that Melody threw something at him and she had no reason to throw something at him, he didn't do anything wrong. Everyone saw the scene. There's no reason for anyone to have to explain or justify to Martell as to why he's wrong on this point. Martell was telling Melody as his wife that she was not satisfying him and Ariane was, and so she threw the glass at him. I would have threw it too. I would have threw the same thing as well. You know, everyone has their opinion on what is appropriate behavior and what is not. And throwing things at people's home is not appropriate in my opinion. However, I do understand that there are times where things happen. What he was saying to Melody in that moment was highly offensive and hurtful to her. Melody would not throw a glass at him at this point. He knows that. There's no reason to have this discussion. Martell believes to this day he has not done a lot of things wrong. He believes that he was, the best husband in the world, and that Melody's too hard on him, and that having knocks outside of their marriage was not that big of a deal. He was a great husband, and yada, yada, yada. The man is delusional. He was an awful husband. He is currently an awful father because he allows this woman that he sleeps with to be around his children, and he uses his children in order to try to poke at his ex-wife. So he's still a horrible person. He's still someone no one wants to be around. Melody is not going to games and sitting next to Martell and acting like they're best friends at games. Melody herself has shown herself at his games and posted that her security was there with her. That is not someone who is a best friend to this man. That is someone who fears for their safety in his presence. Martell, if you and Melody are best friends, why does she need security? Because he is a dangerous narcissist. And the minute she's by herself and he catches her, he tries to corner her. He tries to block her from leaving. He is up on her and he will not back down. So no, they're not best friends. He's lying, and that's already been proven. But that's Martell. That's just who he is. He's never going to tell the truth. He's never going to be honest about what anything is. He wants to paint the picture that he and Melody are the best of friends, and they are not. Melody has to use the scorched earth policy when it comes to Martell. And once they've broken up, she simply cannot change the nature of this relationship while they're broken up. She can't let him in. She can't give him an ounce of space. You can't give that rope to them. The central motivator for a narcissist is validation. Melody is a place where he loves to go back for validation. Whenever he's feeling like he needs someone to validate him, his go-to out of his mouth is Melody. And that's the reason he always brings her up. He wants to paint himself as this virtuous person or someone who's evolved when he has not. He's just looking to use Melody's name. She's his gravy train, and he does not want to get off of the train. He does not want to get off of it. He would like any opportunity to trigger her and drag her back into her old patterns that she used to be in with him. And she's past that. She's not going to do it. He can't try to love bomb her. He can't use the kids. And Martell uses his kids all the time. He uses them as a way of trying to manipulate her all the time. Martell, he obviously has abandonment issues from his childhood. He's also feeling abandoned by Melody, and to his core, the man is 100% insecure, and it shows. We keep seeing him reach back to a 3-year and 4-year-old relationship because it feeds him, because he's done nothing to create new sources of nutrients in his life. He hasn't grown. He hasn't started a new career. He hasn't started a successful business. Nothing's hitting for him. So in order to get fed, he uses Melody and attaches his name to her as some form of validation in the community, in the professional world, everywhere. He would like people to believe they are cool and they get along because it benefits him. It opens doors for him. If he can appear that him and Melody are the best of friends, he believes that will help him with more business deals and it'll help him financially. It won't. We all know that's not what's happening, and everybody can see Martell. I don't think Martell understands everybody sees him, but we do. So for OWN, I would say stop dropping the extra clips. No one needed to see that. No one wants to see that. And what you need to do is stop showing it, because you are feeding him. You're giving him more validation by allowing him to focus so much on conversations about Melody when we all know him and Melody do not have anything going on. So stop perpetuating that. There's nothing going on with them. This clip should have stayed behind the scene. Force this man to grow up, show up, do his job on his own without using this woman as a storyline. She is not his storyline anymore. What do y'all think? Please let me know in the comments. How do you feel about OWN releasing this extra clip and not forcing Martell to come up with his own scenes? Again, they're allowing him to use her as his storyline. He had nothing to do with Melody at the barbecue, and Melody did not have 2 words for him. Why they would allow him a whole scene talking about something I don't know how long ago, it's beyond me. And then to put it out after the fact, it wasn't necessary. Force this man to bring something to the show or get him off. That's my opinion. What's yours? Drop me some comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Get out the way. Who got a watch? Who got the time? I'm raising the clock. Even in my feelings, grind don't stop. Got big dreams.